Hello everyone, thank you for joining us on MNB World News Mongolia, where we bring you the latest stories and updates from across the nation and beyond. I'm Batsirin Namshar. With winter intensifying energy demand in Ulaanbaatar and Mongolia, we are reminding you to conserve electricity by unplugging appliances when idle. This straightforward practice not only saves energy, but also aids in cost management during peak periods. Your cooperation is appreciated during this critical time. Our top stories for News Mongolia. The second coal theft public hearing to take place on December 18th to 22nd. Because of fuel shortages, gas stations are still experiencing lengthy queues. Fostering sustainable ecotourism in Mongolia. For the news, stay tuned. In a move to address the public concerns about the government's investigation of coal theft, a parliamentary working group initiated public hearings. The first hearing was held on December 4th through 8th. On Monday, it was announced that the second hearing would start next week on December 18th.
The first coal theft hearing held from December 4th to 8th was attended by 221 of the 275 witnesses called for the proceedings. The second hearing, scheduled to start on December 18th, is set to cover different facets of the coal industry. The upcoming sessions will include a thorough review of Tavan Толгой JSC's transport activities, coal export dynamics, and issues related to border guards. The agenda will also include Erden's Tavan Толгой JSC's sales activities, pricing strategies for coal contracts, and details on its agreement with Chalco Trading Hong Kong. Additional focal points in the second hearing include a detailed review of coal concentrators, oil pipeline plans, and the intricacies of coal purchase and sales agreement. The hearings follow revelations from October 2022, when a significant amount of coal was found missing during a meticulous review of Mongolia's export data and China's reported import figures. China is the primary buyer of Mongolian coal. The discovery raised eyebrows and intensified public outrage about corruption, soaring living costs, and deepening inequality, sparking protests exactly 1 year ago. Tavan Толгой JSC holds the mining licenses for the Tavan Толгой coal deposit, the largest in Mongolia. The special governing regime at Erden's Tavan Толгой was extended for an additional 6 months at the end of November, signifying the gravity of the situation and the need for a thorough examination of coal industry discrepancies. The public expects the hearings to be a crucial step toward transparency and accountability. The outcomes of this process are expected to play a significant role in shaping government action as an election year approaches.
Since yesterday, there have been long queues at filling stations. In connection with this, officials have provided an explanation that fuel supply is normal, but consumption in Mongolia has increased.
People are standing in extended lines at petrol filling stations to obtain fuel. According to statistics, Mongolia imported over 6,300 railway wagons of AI-92 fuel from Russia in 2021. However, statistical information indicates that over 10,000 railway wagons of AI-92 fuel were imported in the first 11 months of this year. I last purchased fuel for my car 4 days ago. Due to the cold weather, it seems that the car consumes fuel more rapidly when I warm it up. Yesterday, I faced difficulty obtaining fuel and am currently waiting in line. Finding fuel was nearly impossible yesterday, as most gas stations had run out.
I waited at the bus station behind me before I came here. Gas stations haven't been dispensing fuel all morning due to being out of stock. When I visited gas stations in Bainzurk district earlier, there was a long line because they didn't have any fuel for sale.
Due to serious fuel shortages in Mongolia, some school buses can no longer pick up or drop off children. This shortage highlights a clear example of how depending on a single source for vital resources like fuel and energy can lead to issues such as scarcity and rising prices. To address this, it's essential to collaborate with many countries, ensuring a diverse and reliable supply chain. Enhancing global cooperation and resource diversity is crucial in effectively addressing such challenges.
There has been a growing global trend of redefining the use of special natural areas by turning them into thriving ecotourism destinations. This approach not only preserves the intrinsic beauty and ecological significance of these sites, but also unlocks economic opportunities, contributing to sustainable development.
The transformation theme aligns with the Mongolian tourism sector's positive momentum in recent years. In 2019, Mongolia welcomed 577,000 tourists, generating 670 million USD in revenue. Fast forward to 2023, and a substantial increase, with Mongolia hosting 630,000 tourists and earning 1.3 billion US dollars. Experts are optimistic about the Mongolian tourism industry's future, suggesting the possibility of reaching the coveted milestone of hosting 1 million tourists a year. This promising outlook highlights the increasing appeal of Mongolia as a travel destination, driven by a combination of diverse attractions, improved infrastructure, and strategic marketing efforts. With a focus on regional development, it's necessary to establish regional international airports that will support the industry. As Mongolia positions itself on the global tourism map, the upward trend in tourist arrivals and revenue reflects the country's growing popularity and tourism's impact on its economic landscape. The potential to welcome 1 million tourists not only signifies a remarkable milestone for Mongolia, but also presents new opportunities for economic development and cultural exchanges. State support is crucial for ecotourism permits as private businesses drive sustainability through responsible management and community engagement. These businesses are seeking investment as they strive for a balance between economic development and preserving Mongolia's natural landscapes.
Air hospitality services and trade are integral components of regional tourism's development. These elements will also foster a sense of satisfaction for visitors, ultimately leading to an increase in exports.
The process of turning special natural areas into ecotourism destinations aligns with this narrative, highlighting the importance of sustainable tourism practices, environmental stewardship, and community engagement to ensure that the natural beauty and ecological significance of these sites are preserved for future generations.
Now let's take a look at the currency exchange rates provided by Mongol Bank. Now let's take a look at international news from our partner agencies. The United Kingdom is transferring 2 mine-hunting ships to Ukraine as part of a package of long-term support to bolster security in the Black Sea, the Ministry of Defense said Monday. Transfer of the 2 Sandown-class vessels, which are designed to help clear mines from coastal waters, comes as UK and Norway announce plans for a new maritime coalition to increase support for Ukraine in the war with Russia.
The coalition will work with the Ukrainian Navy to expand its forces in the Black Sea, develop a Ukrainian Marine Corps, and enhance the use of river patrol craft to defend inland and coastal waterways, UK authorities said. Neish Papa said they cannot bring the mine-hunting ships to the Black Sea for the time being due to the Montreux Convention, an agreement that allows Turkey to restrict the passage of belligerent countries' warships during times of war.
Ukrainians have proven more than once that their navy is more than just a navy in name only, and we must help them do even more. Ukraine must triumph in the water just as it must on the battlefield itself, and that's the only way to ensure freedom, navigation of the Black Sea. The only way to ensure Ukrainian vessels operate free from Russian bullying, to allow unimpeded transport of their vital grain and steel to the four corners of the world. Which is why we're going to do three things to restore the great name of the Ukrainian Navy.
And as you mentioned correctly, sir, we unfortunately cannot bring them due to the Montreux Convention. But I'm sure, believe me, as soon as we win this war, they will have lots of work to do in the Black Sea, because at the moment, the Black Sea is the most dangerous place in terms of mine security in Europe, and we need much time to make it secure.
The UK first announced the deal to sell the two mine-hunting ships to Ukraine in June 2021, before Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Ukrainian soldiers began training on the ships last year in Scotland.
The International Monetary Fund Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva met with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky during his visit to the IMF this Monday in Washington. President Zelensky also talked about his country's rebound during the war. We really demonstrated that we can reform our country during the war, and I think that is a huge success for us. The second really increase in GDP during the war.
Especially given the exceptionally strong performance of the Ukrainian economy despite the war still going on in the country. We have worked very closely with the economic team of Ukraine over the last weeks, and today we completed the second review of our program under the banner of strength in economic performance in Ukraine. Growth this year is likely to be 4.5%. This last quarter, 9.3%. Congratulations for that.
Thank you very much.
Inflation in Ukraine continues to go down to 5.1% in November. Many countries around the world envy you for that achievement. And the governance of the country strengthens from a month to a month. The fight against corruption, for having very strong support of society for the economic policies, is very impressive. We will continue to work closely with Ukraine, and we will continue to call on those who support Ukraine to remain steadfast in their financial support. Thank you, President Zelensky.
Thank you so much, Kristalina. Thank you for having us, for this invitation. We had very concrete dialogue, and Ukraine demonstrated its truth, and I'm happy that we have such society, such strong people, and our team, we really demonstrated that we can reform our country during the war, and I think that is huge success for us. The second, really increasing GDP during the war, yes, and we have more jobs, more people come back. That's great. From our side, we are thankful for these, our warriors, and of course, USA partners and European partners for our air defending shield. It really helps, and we will continue. To do this and to make our cities more secure. It's very important that also we had good dialogue, and we are thankful to IMF, Kristalina, that I heard now and see it that you will support us financially. It's very important during this challenging period. That's why it means that Ukraine is strong and not alone.
struggle. Thank you.
Thank you.
Countries moved closer to reaching what critics called a watered-down COP28 final deal Monday, avoiding calls from more than 100 nations to phase out planet-warming fossil fuels as United Nations climate talks in Dubai neared their culmination.
A new draft released Monday afternoon on what's known as the Global Stocktake, the part of talks that assesses where the world is with its climate goals and how it can reach them, called for countries to reduce consumption and production of fossil fuels in a just, orderly, and equitable manner. The release triggered a frenzy of fine-tuning by government envoys and gimlet-eye analysis by advocacy groups just hours before the planned late-morning finish to the talks on Tuesday, even though many observers expect the finale to run over time, as is common at the annual UN talks. Activists said the text was written by the COP28 presidency run by an Emirati oil company CEO and pounced on its perceived shortcomings. It called for phasing out inefficient fossil fuel subsidies that encourage wasteful consumption but fall short of a widespread push to phase out fossil fuels like oil, gas, and coal altogether.
There was an overwhelming consensus that the need to acknowledge phase out of fossil fuels would be a litmus test for countries in terms of the success of this COP. And so I think what we're seeing here is a desire to appease a small minority of countries who have been blocking that text.
We actually need to phase in the word phase out now, right? I think there is still a chance for countries to do that. This level of ambition we've heard from many parts of the world is not acceptable to them. So I certainly, personally won't take this as a take it or leave it text. There should still be a fight before we get into the end game, and hopefully we end on a very strong message out of this COP.
What we have seen now is, to some extent, our fears come true, but we have still a chance to improve it, and countries need to go to plenary, point out all the weaknesses that we have in the text, and go back to do their homework.
We are still expecting to hear, from the developed countries on the issue of emission target. We had a lot about phase down and phase out, on the issue of the emission, but we're waiting for the resolution to come out to know exactly the framework that is going to be agreed upon.
The COP presidency in a statement countered that the text was a huge step forward and was now in the hands of the parties who they trust to do what is best for humanity and the planet. The text is extremely disappointing, concerning, and nowhere close to the level of ambition people around the world deserve, said Rachel Cletus, the policy director and a lead economist for the Climate and Energy Program at the Union of Concerned Scientists. The draft noted that some $4.3 trillion needs to be invested annually through 2030 in order to reach ambitions of net zero emissions of heat-trapping gases in the atmosphere by mid-century. It said financing needs for adaptation were but a fraction of current outlays.
Now let's take a look at the weather forecast for Mongolia and world major cities. Well, that's all for today. Thank you for staying with us. We'll see you on Wednesday with more news and updates. Goodbye.